to be with you guys today. It's really fun to come during finals because that's such an exciting, enjoyable time at BYU. I'm especially glad because I have my daughter here today. So for me, this is like, you gotta wave, you gotta like do the thing. We're gonna talk about being an entrepreneur today. I noticed that we have a lot of men, majority of men in the audience. So I want to tell you about a little experiment that was done that taught me something about communication. A guy did an experiment where he took a bunch of men and women and put them into a big auditorium. And he had them wait to go into the next meeting. So as they were waiting in there, and then they came into the next meeting, they immediately tested everybody and said, okay, we have 2 questions for you. Can you tell us about the people that stood around you? And can you tell us where the exits were and how many of them there were in the building? The women in the room could tell you everything about the people around them. The men in the room knew absolutely nothing about the people around them, but they knew exactly how many exits there were and where those exits were located. So what they learned in doing that about men is that there's 3 things men have to know before they can actually engage fully in a conversation. The first one is this going to be painful? Okay, first question, will this be painful? Your wife comes up to you and says, how many of you guys are married? Raise your hand. Okay, if your wife comes up and says, honey, I could use your help Saturday, what happens to your life? Do you go into a dark hole of nothingness where you're never, ever going to, okay. That's because you need to know before she can talk to you about that, is this going to be painful? You also want to know how long is it going to take, and when we're done talking, what do you want from me? What's my exit here? So for you men to engage, if your wife comes to you and says, I noticed you're nodding yes, you hate it when she says, if she comes up and says, hey, Saturday, I need your help, it'll take about 20 minutes, and then when you're done, you can go play Call of Duty all you want. Are you down with that? Like much better conversation, right? So I just want you guys to know this is not going to be very painful. It's going to take about 40 minutes, and I'm going to talk super fast because we have a ton to cover. And when we're done talking, I don't want anything from you. So there you go. You are hooked up. Okay, a little bit about my background. I'm going to go real quick. I grew up in a family of 10 kids. I lived all over the country: Oregon, Washington, Michigan, Virginia, Tennessee, Texas, California, and then Utah. Came out to go to BYU. My plan was to marry that guy and have those kids. It was an awesome plan. No other plan beyond that. Didn't actually go the way that I thought. I came to BYU. I was only 17 when I got out here. I got engaged, did the BYU thing, got engaged quickly, got married, had 2 kids, and then had to drop out to put my spouse through school. So not exactly, and then I ended up divorced with 2 kids and had to be the sole support of my family. Not the whole fairy tale and young women's that we always hear about, right, ladies? So this was me, as my daughter likes to say, let's get into some real talk here. That was kind of the life I was facing. So for you that are here because you want to learn about entrepreneurship, you're already like 1,000 steps ahead of where I was at your age. At that point, I had to kind of figure out what the heck am I going to do with my life, for lack of a better word. And some of the things that I try to tell people when they're trying to make those choices is, first of all, ask yourself, what are you good at? Like, what do you actually enjoy doing or learning? What are the God-given talents that you have? What connections do you have? You know, I don't think anything happens by coincidence. So sometimes where you were raised, who you were raised by, what connections do your parents have? What connections do your friends have? These are all things that if you pay attention to those details, a lot of times it's Heavenly Father trying to and I love being able to talk about Heavenly Father in a talk because I talk all over the place and it's the only place I get to do it, so I love it. But it's true. Like I feel like the Lord puts you in positions to try to drive you into a certain area. So pay attention to those things. And what are the life experiences, like what arrow is being pointed by all those things? In addition, like you guys, patriarchal blessings, priesthood blessings, there's a million resources we have, and we're so lucky to have those. Utilize those when you're trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life, because I think that's the scariest thing at your age, right? People said to me, well, do what you like, and I liked shopping and bubble baths, and I was like, dude, I don't know how to make money off of that, though, so that's a problem. People also said, do something you believe in, right? And especially in the LDS culture, we're kind of raised to do better when we're doing for others. Right? People go sacrifice a couple years of their life and give up everything to go and serve others, and they would never do that if it wasn't for that religious, it's something I believe in. So when you look at your career choices, if you can find something that you actually believe in, where to you it's more than just a job, you're probably going to be more successful. And that doesn't mean it has to be something that's like it can't make money. You can make a lot of money and still help a lot of people, so keep that in mind. And then my most important thing is something my grandpa Pearson taught me before he died. He said, Amy, the most important thing is advice he got when one time he was praying for some answers, and after praying for weeks for the Lord to answer a question for him about what he should do with his life, he finally heard a voice one night that said, get up, do something, do anything, just make a start. And I think that's the most critical component is God can't really drive a parked car, so it's our job to get our foot on the gas and start moving, and then things will happen to lead you where you're supposed to go. My dad started out to go to be a dental school and ended up getting recruited to the FBI. Okay, and if you met him, he is like the Meet the Parents FBI dad for sure. So dental school would have been like super scary for him as your dentist. I can't even imagine. But it's just important he was at least moving in a direction, and then the Lord took him where he needed to go. So start moving. Don't keep talking about it. The best advice I think I got at that age is someone said, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And I was like, wow, that's a good question. If I wasn't afraid, I think I'd want to be an entrepreneur because that just sounds really cool, and I don't know what else I want to be. So that sounds cool, working for myself, doing it, being able to make my own decisions. So I sat down at the age of 23 and I made my first goal poster. How many of you think goal posters are dumb? Raise your hand and don't be shy. I'm not going to be offended. It's totally fine. A couple of you. Okay, so no, I appreciate your honesty. It's always important, okay? Okay. I'm going to come back to you two, okay? I want you two to remember I'm going to ask you a question at the end of this class. Because by the time I'm done today, I want to see if you still feel that way. Now, when I made the goal poster, I didn't think they were all special or magical or any of those things, right? I just decided I'm going to make a goal poster to give myself some thoughts on what I want to do. So I was like, I want to win Entrepreneur of the Year because that's like the biggest award for Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur that I knew of, right? And I wanted to be on magazines, and I wanted to meet Bill Gates because, Microsoft was new. They just come out with Windows, which tells you I'm kind of old, but whatever. Still cool. But I wanted all those things, right? So I made that poster and I hung it on the wall and I didn't think about it again. And we're going to come back to what it did in my life later. Okay, how to find opportunities. I was like, I know I want to be an entrepreneur, but how do I, everyone's like, okay, how do you even figure out what to be? Like, what kind of business do you start? That's one of the number one questions I get from college kids is, how do I figure out an opportunity? So pay attention. Pay attention to discontent. When you hear people complaining about an issue, and if enough people are complaining, there's probably a business opportunity there. Things that drive them nuts. I hate that I have to do it this way all the time. Why isn't there a better way? When you hear that kind of stuff, that's where you're going to start to notice business opportunities. Okay, so pay attention to those things. Think different, right? Ask questions. Be like, well, if it could do this, would you like it better? Would this be cooler? Someone was talking about dating apps. If you don't like the way they are, what would make you like them better? And don't go, well, just because something's out there, I'm not going to do it because someone else already did it. It doesn't have to be an original idea, you guys. It just has to be a better idea than the last guy that did it. Okay, so you can just find something and figure out what to improve upon, boom, new company, all right? Size of the market really matters. And what I mean by that is how many people could potentially buy your product or service. The bigger the number of people that need it, the more likely an investor is to give you money, okay? And the reason for that is because if you can just sell a few people in that market, we make a lot of money. But if you have to land 75% of a market for us to make money, it's not that interesting to us, right? Because it means you have to really be able to sell everybody on it. So go for a market size that's a huge need for a lot of people. Focus on the impact like we talked about, and remember your God-given talents. So for me, I was ADD, attention deficit disorder, and that's a God-given talent, P.S. Of course, it's good to take meds for it because then you can control it, but I was ADD and I got bored fast, right? And so I was working in medical offices and running business side of the medical offices. And I was like, it's so dumb that I have to get up and file charts every day and scan. When someone comes to get their treatment done, I have to take a photocopy of their insurance card because scanners are brand new and they just came out. Why can't we just scan it into the software and then I don't have to make photocopies and file charts, right? Seemed like a duh question to me. I was young. But at the time, there was nothing out because there was no Windows-based systems that let you scan it in yet. So that was how I got the idea to start my very first medical software company. Was this stupid thing of my talent was being ADD, and I got bored, and this was something I hated doing. And that's what drove me into a life of business. It was that simple, okay? So in '96, I started my first company. I raised $23,000. That was the only money I raised until I achieved profitability later on. I am a huge fan of bootstrapping your company, and by that I mean you grow by selling. Sell, spend that to grow. Sell, spend that to grow. These people that go and raise tons of money up front, I think it's, in my opinion, honestly, it's a bad idea because you'll spend what you have, trust me. If it's in your account, it's getting spent. So it's better to be a little bit more disciplined and try to work your way into it at least while you get off the ground. And that's how I kind of began my journey. I want to talk about a couple things that I think hindered me and probably would hinder some of you guys, and one of those is overcoming fear. It's really important to get over how other people see you, okay? And quit worrying about that. If people are going to think you look stupid or dumb or it's not cool or what if I try and fail and all these things. And we get so hung up on that we don't actually move forward. So who cares what anyone else thinks, because guess what? They're not going to be there when you get judged. Just you and God are. So that's the only guy you got to worry about, okay? Because no one else knows all the facts except for him. So if you can turn your focus to that and just worry about what he thinks and nobody else, you'll do so much better in your life, okay? So put that fear aside. The other thing I learned is that your self-image is made up of two things. There's the way you see yourself, which most of us pick ourselves apart quite a bit. True or not true? Well, at least the women for sure do. You men probably not as much, but still, maybe behind closed doors. And I learned that there's that vision of who we are and those insecurities, and then there's that picture that we can replace it with of who we would be if we could just be whatever we wanted. And there's a little trick you can do, and it helped me through so much in my early days of my career, which was if I was scared, I would close my eyes and become this person. super loud. I would become that Wonder Woman because I was like, she can do anything and she has an invisible jet and she's just like really cool. So P.S. movie coming out in June, ladies, it's going to be awesome. But that was like my hero. As I thought, I'm going to be Wonder Woman. So I'd get scared. I'd close my eyes and I would like tell myself I'm Wonder Woman, go to this meeting and just be her. And then you could go back to be an insecure Amy later. And that's what I would do. And that little trick, that whole fake it till you make it thing, it actually really does work to help you guys over some of those fears. Go in and be the person you look up to the most in your mind, and then come out and just be yourself again. And pretty soon you start to gain confidence that way. The other big fear I think that holds people back is a dumb idea, right? They're really scared, oh, my idea is dumb. I don't want to share it because people are going to think it's dumb. So let's talk about some dumb ideas. The Slanket, Snuggie, there's other words for it. There's like a bunch of brands. How many of you guys have heard of this? How many of you guys have them? Okay. Do you know how it got started? A kid was playing video games in college, and it was like super cold in his dorm. So he called his mom, because, you know, we're awesome. And the mom took the sleeping bag and just cut holes in it for him, and then his arms were still cold, right? So then she sewed sleeves on it, and that is literally how the first Slanket got started. Dumb idea? There's crazy amounts of these things sold. I've got like 10 of them. I have a Wonder Woman one, just in case you were wondering. Goggles for your dog, sold at every Petco across the country. Dumb idea, right? I want you to be thinking about this. Pillow pets. Dude, my kids have Cosmo pillow pets they sleep with. They're like return missionaries. I mean, I'm just saying, it's a little weird, but you people all have them, right? Over $300 million a year in sales for the pillow pet, okay? Dumb idea. I think it's the dumbest thing ever, but it's making $300 million a year. So is that a dumb idea? If it is going to make money, it is not a dumb idea, okay? So let's just get over the fear of the dumb idea thing. 2 men in a truck. A mom had to keep her boys out of trouble in high school, so she got a truck and started pimping them out to people for odd jobs. And after they went off to college, she still got phone calls, so she started hiring other guys, and next thing you know, she's doing $220 million a year. Okay, so dumb idea. My favorite, I do now, I don't. This is how you turn a bad situation into good. A kid got engaged, she dumped him. So he tried to sell the ring back, only got a fraction of the value, and decided this is bogus, I'm going to start my own company. So he started a website, I do now, I don't. You could sell wedding rings after someone dumps you and get more money than you would by returning it. You can also now post videos of how the person ruined your life. There's all kinds of things you can do, turning tragedy into a good idea, okay? The fear of being too young. I was 23 when I started my first business. I was a college dropout. I was scared to death, right? And I was like, I'm too young. Zuckerberg, dude, we all know the story there, right? You're never too young, especially nowadays. Younger people actually have so much better opportunity than we did. The most important thing, favorite scripture of lifetime, write it down. It's go forward with no fear. God didn't give you the spirit of fear. So every time you're afraid, remind yourself, God did not give you the spirit of fear. Okay, that's just not how he operates or works. That's Satan working, so keep that in mind. It'll help you stop yourself when you start to get that way. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Look, you're going to learn by making mistakes. I have made just about every mistake in the book. If you don't believe me, don't ask her because she will tell. So I was in college at 17. My dad opened my checkbook, dropped me off at college. I'd never had my own account before. I'd always had a job, but he paid the bills for me. So here I am at 17 with this thing, and I'm like, wait, so you just write these out and stores take them? That's awesome, right? Little did I know there has to be actually cash in the account, but no one mentioned that when they dropped me off in college. So I bounced so many checks that they probably would have put me in jail if I was over 18, but they didn't. So my dad flew out, met with the Zions Bank president and apologized, and we had to it was a mess, right? I had never even opened a bank statement because I didn't know that you had to open them. We've all made dumb, stupid mistakes, but guess what? I'm like super awesome with money now, and Zions Bank loves me. So we all made those, right? Our fire alarms went off for years as a single mom. Those beepings, I didn't know what it was. The kids and I learned how to tune it out, right? Until someone said, you know, your batteries in the fire alarm are caught. Oh, wow. So that was why I was running a huge company, by the way, with a couple thousand employees. It's just, we all make mistakes. It's how we learn. The important part is that when you make a mistake, own it. Do not make excuses and act like it didn't happen. Do not do that. Just own it. Be like, hey, I screwed up. People will respect you in business 1,000,000 times more if you just own your mistakes. Fix it, and then learn from it and put safeguards in place so that same mistake isn't made again. That was our rule at the company. You can make any mistake once. If you make the same mistake twice, you're gone. Because that way, that's how you learn. Make it once, but why would you want to make the same one twice? That's just dumb, right? You're just never going to learn, so don't do that. And also, don't be afraid of failing. You have to redefine how you look at failure, because you didn't fail if you learned something that makes you smarter. I always get interviewed on these news things, and they're like, what was your biggest failure? And I'm like, I haven't actually failed yet, because I made tons of mistakes. But I've learned from every single one of them, so to me it's not a failure, because I am better today and smarter today because of all those mistakes. Okay, so it's not a failure, so quit being afraid of that part of it. I even bought a boat once. I was a single mom. Kids and I had a lot of fun on a boat, and I thought, you know what, it's a big thing to handle as a single woman. Even though I'm like super independent, that's a big thing to handle. So, and it takes, you have to read like a manual, and I don't enjoy manuals if there's not pictures. So I didn't actually read the manual, but finally I was like, okay, I'll just bite the bullet and buy one, because I've been single for a long time. Bought the boat, took it out, all of a sudden, the boat stops on the lake. Turns out there's a plug in a boat that you're supposed to put in. Now, ladies, I'm sure you're with me in the fact that why would you put a hole in a boat if it's going in the water? Makes no sense, right? No. Apparently, we men think it's funny, but if that happens, when that boat sank, and it was super embarrassing, but when it happens, you got to learn to laugh about it, because you can cry and mope and act like poor me, and look, your butt's going to get wedged in the tree sometime, and you got to wait for someone to just pull you out of there. Sometimes that happens, and that's okay. Just laugh about it, and then go buy the pink boat that you actually wanted in the first place, right? Because that's what I did. Because life in general turns out best for those who make the best of the way that things turn out, and I truly believe that. Life will be better for those who make the best of the way things turn out. Okay? The key is to just keep persevering, keep moving forward, and don't give up, because it takes time. I want to give you a couple quick examples. MediConnect Global was my most recent company. This is the one that we grew and sold a couple years ago. We had almost 2,000 employees worldwide, and it was a really cool healthcare technology company. Okay? And I'm just going to tell you a couple of the quick secrets to our success. The first one, and this is the most important rule I could teach you today, honestly. This is like literally the most important thing in my whole career, is on my wall in my office we wrote, do what's right. It used to say just the top line, do what's right. And we added the let the consequence follow, because so often in business, you're going to get tempted. You're going to see other people cheat, lie, steal to get ahead. You're going to see a competitor that totally fakes a bid and gives the wrong price to someone, and you're like, well, how am I supposed to compete? Because if I don't cheat, lie, and steal, then they're going to win the business, and we can't let that happen, because that wouldn't be right. Right? And so you can like work your mind into doing these weird little justifications. And the bottom line is, you have to do what's right, even if you're going to lose the deal. Even if you're not going to get it. When an investor asks you a question and you lie to them, I'm just telling you, you've already lost. It's already over, right? You may win in that moment, and you'll see a lot of people in life that seem to win for a period of time, but inevitably they will always lose. And if it's not in this life, it will be in the next. So success comes and goes, but your integrity, that's forever. So don't ever be tempted to go in the gray, and always have that let the consequence follow part on the wall, which means I don't care if it's a bad consequence, I'm still doing the right thing. That's the most important lesson you can walk out of here with today. The next thing is to operate within your means. I see so many young entrepreneurs today. It's like this total trend that they're going to go out and raise a ton of money in these huge valuations, and then they think they're super cool because they can say, we raised and our valuation was $1 billion. Guess what? It actually doesn't mean anything, because you only make money when you actually sell a company, not when you take money. And guess what? The more money you take, the less money you're going to get at the end of the day. Just a little tip. So it's not about raising a bunch so you can go have a really fancy, cool office and all these things. The important part is to be cheap and frugal and do it for as little as it can be done. Because most of the things that I learned in business that had the most impact on my success were the cheap things we did, not the money we spent. Okay, and I'm going to share a couple of those little cheap things, the ways we did things that totally came out. MediConnect ended up getting a massive multiple when we sold, because we had spent so little and been so effective with what we spent. You don't have to spend a lot of money to make money. It's smarter to spend very little. Okay, for example, our branding. We were a security company in healthcare. We had to be very secure because we were healthcare, and we had a lot of medical data in there. And we needed to hire people your age that couldn't use a cell phone at work or get on the internet. You can imagine how fun that was to try to entice people. Oh, come in and put your cell phone in a locker and don't be on the internet all day today. Kind of hard, right? But we were like, how can we make that sexy? We didn't go hire a firm to come up with branding. We were like, hey, the CIA, you can't bring your cell phone to work. And it's cool, right? Like, because who doesn't like spy stuff, right? You know, Jason Bourne. So we were like, let's just roll out a spy theme, and then we'll make security sexy. Okay, and so we did. We rolled out this spy theme, and we just did little things like rebranding titles. Instead of finance, you were the Treasury Enforcement Agency, because it just sounds like so much cooler to say that's where you work, right? And instead of marketing, it was the Communications Intelligence Agency. So all these little things that we did, and little logos and things, and I'll show you a couple of pictures, our branding and logos we did, we all tied in this spy theme. None of this was expensive, but it was little things that really make a big impact. We had little screensavers on everyone's desktop. We had a star wall where if you killed it on the job, you got your star on the wall, which is pretty cool. If you've seen the CIA, it's how it works there. Cheap to do, but it had such a huge impact on the culture, right? People loved it. We gave it a little MCG shirts. We did these MCG shirts that look like FBI, and everybody got to look really cool walking around town in their MCG shirt, and people would be like, dude, where do you work? That's sweet, you know? So little cheap things that all made a huge difference. Our best marketing ideas did not come from professional marketers. We were a company doing, the year I sold it, we were like 90 million in revenue. And we had 2 people in marketing. That's it. Okay, that's like, he can tell you that's next to nothing, okay? That's next to nothing. Like, no company would do that. But do you want to know who my marketing people were? High school kids. Because guess who are the best? Who can get more likes in the quickest time than anybody else in the world? Now it's actually junior high, so you have to like go down another level. But it used to be high school kids, okay? So what I would do is I'd invite when she was in high school and her brother was in high school, I'd invite their friends over. And I'd say, look, Little Caesars Pizza, $4.99 hot and ready. They'll do anything for a $4.99 pizza. So will most of you people in this room, sadly. But I'd bring them together and I'd say, I need a billboard, right? I needed a billboard for a hiring campaign. And the kids came up with this billboard idea. And we used one of our sales guys to pose for it, who grew up on a mink farm, had really good arms for the picture. So there you go. That was the picture. Apparently mink farming produces some good muscles. But they came up with that. This is what awesome looks like. Super successful campaign. And this was only one of thousands of campaigns. Go to high school kids. Go to junior high kids. Get them a pizza and say, give me your ideas. They'll come up with the best marketing. It's so much better than any other company you could hire. Okay? Be cheap. Recruiting for talent. This is another thing. We needed an ad campaign because we decided we're not going to recruit for position. We want to recruit for your values and your skills. So we didn't want you to opt out and decide you weren't qualified for our company. We thought we can teach you how to do medical technology stuff, but we can't teach you integrity and how to go the extra mile and show respect to others. So we decided to do this whole campaign that was, we're just going to hire for no title. We're going to hire you based on your skills, and then we'll bring you and train you and figure out where you belong. And I needed a way to roll this out where people would actually apply for the job. So I went to my employees and I said, here's what I need you to do for me. I want you to come up with your dumbest talent, the dumbest talent you have. Make a couple little videos and send them in. And we're going to do these commercials at the movie theater before they bring on the movie. And I need this to use to start recruiting. So I'm going to show you, this is one of my cheaper campaigns. No, all my campaigns were cheap. So I'm going to show you what they came up with. This is... Okay, this is super expensive on the editing. Here's another one. So we had like 20 different commercials like this that we rolled out. And these were some of the most, I mean, you can tell we didn't spend anything on these. There was a whole bunch of them, and they were all so funny. And it was a huge success for our marketing recruiting. We didn't hire recruiting companies to find us employees. We went to people's bathroom stalls at companies that we thought had really good people we'd like to steal from. And we hung up little signs that said, if you're reading this now and you're you're clearly a good multitasker, so we happen to be hiring good multitaskers, come and apply. It was a really cheap way to go and recruit instead of paying a third of someone's salary for the first year. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. What it takes is creativity and thinking out of the box, okay? And yes, we got several calls from CEOs that were upset, but it is not illegal to put these on someone's bathroom stall, I'm just saying. Another thing we did is we had people in our cul-de-sac we wanted to hire and steal, but we didn't know how to go and get them because the bathroom stalls had been ripped off by that point. So we thought, there was these shame on you signs, the hiring things that were going on, all the labor disputes. So we did shame on you for not applying at MetaConnect. We're now hiring signs, and everyone in the cul-de-sac through their windows could all see we were hiring. And it's not illegal if they hold the sign. If you attach it to a tree, it is, and I know because the cops got called on us, but it's not illegal, so we were good. So it's about being like original and creative and doing cheap things that have a good result. Another thing is repurpose stuff. You know, we had a company we bought that happened to have this big RV that had Joan London's face on it, and I was like, what are we going to do with this RV? I mean, she's a beautiful woman. It would have cost millions to keep her there. I was like, we don't need an RV. It had Bill and Ida embroidered on the carpet on the dashboard. It was super old from like the 70s. But I thought, how can we use this in a way that's effective? We've already gotten it. We didn't want to have it, but we have it. So we wrapped it for pretty inexpensive and made it a mobile hiring center and sent guys in black suits to hand out we're hiring cards in the parking lot of companies we wanted to steal their employees from during lunch. It worked really well. And these are the kinds of things, like you can do a lot of creative stuff for cheap, and you guys at this age are so good at it. And like I said, high school kids and junior high kids will help you come up with campaigns, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is communication. It was the most surprising and humbling thing as a leader that I learned, and that was the number one value you bring to the table as the entrepreneur is your ability to communicate well, okay? It's super, super critical. And there's a need people have for constant. So in personal lives, if I was to talk about, so we women, and you women in the room, okay, we wake up every morning considering ourselves ugly, fat, and unlovable. And you men, it is your job to convince us throughout the day that we're not those things, that we're beautiful and lovable and all those things, right? And then by the time we go to bed, what happens? We go to sleep and we wake up what? Ugly, fat, and unlovable again. Yes, that is how we women operate. You men, on the other hand, in personal lives, you men, if we say we love you, or we say, baby, you look hot, you pretty much think that until the next 20 years down the road when we happen to mention you're not so hot anymore. Like, you're like, we're good, we know, we're good, we're going. Yeah, so we women don't work that way. But in business, what I learned, right, is that men and women are actually the exact same in their business life. They need the validation. Both men and women need it every day in business. They need to know that they matter. They need to know that they're valued. They need to know they're appreciated. And if you don't do that, things go sideways quickly. So I learned it was really important, because I used to think that the guys were okay. I was like, I told him he was good last week. We're good for 6 years. No, it doesn't work that way in business. You got to be on top of the validation, okay? So at MetaConnect, I was like, how do I communicate? I have like almost 2,000 employees. I don't even know everybody's names. How am I supposed to do that? So we did something easy and formed a cheap intranet site that was for the company. And on that intranet, every day, it started out, my daughter nicknamed it the CEO's tweet to her peeps. That's what it started out as. It turned into a little blog every day. And every single day, 5 days a week, my employees would get a little message from me. Not a professional, I'm your boss, and this is a serious company. No. It was like, dude, don't put your pants on right out of the dryer, because it seriously ruins your self-worth, okay? So don't do that. It was like just real life, normal, hey, here's our goals, here's what we're working on, here's mistakes I as your leader have made. And it seems like, oh, you can't admit you've made mistakes as a leader. Yes, you can, because you're human, and the more you show that to people, the more they want to help you and support you and get behind you. You do not have to come out everything is perfect, and you don't have to be a know-it-all on every topic, okay? It's even with investors. When you come to raise money, if we ask you a question and you act like you know every answer to every question we have, you've just lost credibility. It is better to be honest and sincere and authentic in who you are, and people will get behind you and respect you for it. We had discussion boards where employees could go on and comment on the blogs, and then they could start discussions with each other. We had idea boards where they could go post their best ideas and rank them to see whose idea was the best in the company. And we got awesome ideas from the most unlikely places in the company. And this was all about communicating, and it was letting me also know what was happening amongst them. So I was in the know, and I could fix problems as they came along. And all that communication really started to do something crazy in the company. Those t-shirts I'd bought in the employees, one day they went on the discussion board and they said, hey, can we have sweatshirts and gym bags and all these other things? And I was like, well, no, because I'm really cheap and that would cost money. So I love you all. I appreciate you all, but I'm not spending the money on that. And they were like, no, we'll pay for it. And I was like, wait, what? You guys want to actually pay to wear our company brand around town? How often does that happen, right? So I said, sweet, we'll give it to you at wholesale. We're not going to make money on you guys, but we'll buy it at wholesale. People were wearing this stuff everywhere. We had belt buckles for our Ephraim office for the rodeo and the derby. Super fun. We had baby onesies with MCG on the butt. The branding we got and the free advertising we got from those employees, feeling like they were part of this culture where they could contribute their ideas. They were hearing from their leader, and they were also giving their ideas back, and they felt like they were really useful. It created this incredible culture in the company. And then the employees started to look outward of how can we make our employees, their customers feel as good as we as employees feel. So when we first started the company and we had our technology, our clients would log in and we'd have this like, Shutterstock lady that anyone could go and pay to license her picture, right? And she'd be there. And we thought, that's so impersonal. And we've learned about how important the personal touch is. So we decided, let's put the actual person you work with picture there. So each of the account managers had their photo up there. And then we were like, okay, that's personal, but it's not very fun, right? So then the employees came up with the idea, hey, let's mix it up. So every morning when the clients would log in, just like Google mixes it up every day and you're excited to see what they did that day with their lettering, we would have people in costumes and they'd have like little sombreros and party things for Fridays and like their coffee mug for Mondays. Dude, the stuff this did with clients and the personal communication and the personal touch that went on was incredible. And the responses were incredible. And then the employees were like, we hate the newsletter. No one likes a newsletter. Did you guys get email newsletter and do you read the newsletters? Anyone? No, you don't, right? Because they're boring and we don't care. Like, don't push us that stuff, right? Well, we thought, why are we sending out these professional newsletters to the customers? Why don't we do the same thing? What matters, what we're learning what matters is the way they feel, the way that personal touch feels. So we decided to bag the important newsletter. We went to doing things like, hey, it's Valentine's, and here's the cool date night ideas you have for Valentine's. And hey, it's Christmas, here's a cool gift to buy your loved one. Had nothing to do with MetaConnect, right? So it seems totally counterintuitive for a healthcare technology company to be pushing stuff to their clients about how to get your wife to watch football, like tell her the personal lives of the players and who's dating who, and she'll totally be engaged, right? Little tip for you. Totally works, by the way. You would not believe the response we got. Now all of a sudden our clients were taking our newsletters and they were reading them, and then they were forwarding them on to their friends who worked at other clients that we could potentially land. And all of a sudden the business was coming in like crazy. It was all about that same thing in the communication. Make it real and authentic. Don't be so professional. Millennials hate professionalism, true or not true. They want real. They just want you to cut right to it. So it's really important. And when you have happy employees because you're communicating, then they want to make the clients happy, and then they want to go bring other business to your table. So all these things come together, and it led MetaConnect to be sold for $377 million. It's actually just a little bit more, but who's counting? Okay. So when people say to me, is it worth being an entrepreneur? This is a quote I wrote up for an article I was interviewed in, and I said, you will work your guts out more than anyone else could ever prepare you for. You'll take more bumps and bruises and more scrapes and cuts than there's Band-Aids to cover. Your failures are seen by many and your efforts are often appreciated by few. But at the end of the day, I can't think of any career that it would afford you more of an opportunity to learn and grow at an unbelievable pace, or that will give you the opportunity to influence other people's lives by affording them opportunities to excel, And nothing else will give you more of an opportunity to create something truly marvelous. So yes, I'm glad I chose to be an entrepreneur, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And that's truly how I feel. I want to give you guys a couple quick recommendations, and I'm going to fly through because we have how much time? 15 minutes? Okay, we're going to go quick. How many of you guys think you're lucky? Raise your hand if you consider yourself a lucky person. Okay. There was an experiment done by a guy named Dr. Stuart Weitzman. It's actually fascinating if you ever get time to read it. I know that's what you want to do this week with finals. But this guy did a study, and one of the things they did is they brought all these people in for a test. And they said, hey, one of the questions on the application was, do you consider yourself a lucky person or not? Yes or no? Then they gave everybody a magazine, a newspaper, and said, go into this room and count the number of photos in the newspaper, and then come back in and turn in your test. The people went into the room, and on page 2 of the newspaper, there was an actual photograph, and underneath it said, there are, I think it was like 76 pictures in this paper. Put the paper down and go collect a bonus for $100. The people who had marked, they considered themselves a lucky person, every single one of them noticed page 2's little caption and went and collected the money. The people that did not say they thought they were a lucky person missed it and kept counting the whole thing. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of tests they did that had that same result. And what he kind of surmises at the end is that the people generate, when they think they're a lucky person, they generate their own good fortune because they're looking for the good. They're constantly more aware of anything bad that happens in their life. They're like, oh, there's something awesome in here for me. I got to figure out what it is now. When I would sit down on an airplane, whoever was next to me, I'm like, dude, this is your lucky day because for some reason we're sitting next to each other and that means you're going to do something awesome for my life, so let's talk, right? It was like this attitude of constantly, when something went wrong, I would be like, wow, this must have gone wrong because God has something like so much better for me right around the corner, right? When you're dating, helps you a lot in your dating life. Keep that in mind, right? I'm just saying. But you have a resilient attitude that helps you get through hard things. So you've got to consider, and look, you guys are here at BYU. Number one, you're living in America. Number two, you're here at BYU, and you're members of the church. You guys are so lucky. You're like in the top echelon of luck in this world. So appreciate that and feel grateful for that because you are lucky people, even when things go bad. Network yourself. Do not be afraid to talk to people. You know, I was 23. I was a girl going into business who, like, I didn't even think about the fact that there was no women in technology back then. I was like, I understood software development and I designed software systems and it was just something I did for fun. And so I would go to these conferences and realize, oh my gosh, there's like no other girls here except for the booth babes that were hired to work in the booths at Microsoft. No, just kidding. At the trade shows. He knows what I'm talking about. It's totally true. I was like the only woman that was actually on the floor in a suit. And so it really freaked me out a little bit that I was like, oh, I didn't even notice this, right? It made me feel a little bit intimidated at first. Like, should I go talk to people? They think it's weird. But let me just tell you what happened one day. I was at this event, and someone came walking up to me, and they're like, hi, so nice to meet you. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you for talking. In my mind, I didn't say it out loud. But I was like, thank you for talking to me because I felt like such a loser before. You just talked to me, and now I feel okay. And when I left that meeting that day, I thought, if I felt that way, there's got to be guaranteed other people in that room feeling just as insecure as I did that would appreciate it if I went and talked to them. And so it really made me bust out of my shell and be willing to go talk to people. Not because I was necessarily comfortable with it, but because I was like, hey, he's not going to be offended if I come up and say hi. Who's ever been offended by someone smiling at them and saying, hey, how are you doing? So nice to meet you, right? There's nothing offensive about that. Don't be afraid to go talk to people. They really appreciate it, okay? The next thing is put yourself in the running. I had a guy that I hired that was, I actually hadn't hired. He was working at the company in one of the lower level positions. We had a top management position come available. He turned in his application, and I was like, who's this guy? I didn't even know who he was. Right? Because normally you would have had to like go through the chains of raising through the company. That guy didn't get the job that time, but within like 2 years, that guy was running that whole department because he'd put his name in the running. He didn't get it initially, but he put his name in the running, so his name was there. So even when you don't get it, you're going to get noticed, and it will make changes in your life. Okay? Avoid negativity. When you lie down with dogs, you get fleas, and you will be judged by that in the business community, by investors, and by employees, and everybody, and bosses, everybody. Don't hang out with negative people. Okay? And on a Friday night, would you rather hang out with Tigger or Eeyore? Let's be honest, right? Because Tigger's like way more fun. So be a Tigger, do not be an Eeyore. Do not be like, oh, woe was me, no one likes that. And people want to do business with people they like. And I don't have time for this story. So this part I'm going to skip. Well, my dog, okay. Humble enough to ask people for experience. I got married 9 years ago as a newlywed. My husband came to me and said, you don't have a snow shovel. And I'm like, that's because I was a single mom for all these years, and there's an elders quorum. So I've never had a shovel in my life, right? And God bless the elders quorum. So I was like, I don't have a shovel. And he's like, well, we need to get one. And I was like, well, let's buy a snowblower. And he's like, we have a son who's like needs to learn the value of hard work, because my husband grew up on a farm, so everyone should work. So he wanted my son to shovel it, and I was like, well, fine. So he leaves out to go shopping. I get online and I Google world's best snow shovel, right? And this thing comes up called the Wovel. And I read about it. It's Time Magazine's Invention of the Year. And so I'm like, sweet, I'm going to order it here, and I better overnight it because it's got to get here quick. So he comes home, and I'm like, babe, guess what? I just got you a snow shovel. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I ordered it online. It's like the Time Magazine Invention of the Year. Bob Vila endorsed it, the guy on Total Time, home improvement. So I was all excited, and he's like, send it back. And so I got a little teary because we're newlyweds, right? And I was like, I just did something really special for you. And you said it was broken. I fixed it. That's what I do. I'm an entrepreneur, right? So my son, of course, was laughing because he thought this was hilarious. Well, I said, come and look at it on the computer. There's like a whole video that shows you how to use it. An instructional DVD comes with it. This is the Wubble. And I spent like $400 on the Wubble because I had to overnight ship it, and it's heavy, like really, really heavy, right? So he ends up saying, I'm not using it because no self-respecting man would ever be caught dead with this thing. And I'm like, we're newlyweds, and you have to do it because your wife's going to cry. And he's like, okay, one time. I'll use it one time. So we waited till it got dark at night. He goes out. For 2 minutes, my son, of course, is loving this with the video camera. He's like, this is totally going on YouTube. And the first car comes, he drops the handle. The next thing I know, that thing's disassembled on the wall, never to be used again, although we can't throw it away because now it's like a family heirloom. And the point of the whole story was that I had no experience, no shoveling. I knew nothing about it, and I didn't even ask anybody's advice. I just went and bought it, right? What I learned is go to the people that have been there and done it. You can read a lot of books, you can sit in a lot of classrooms and have all this stuff, but at the end of the day, if you talk to someone who's actually been through it, that's going to be the best advice you could ever get, okay? Do whatever you're going to do for the right reasons. If-then statement in the scriptures, if you do it for the right reasons, then you'll be blessed with the riches, but go at it because you want to help people, and God will bless you. Most important, don't give up. Love this quote. It's been on my wall my whole life. It says, everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Okay? Now, I'm going to end with this last part, and this is important. This is the part you guys have to do something for me at the end. Never underestimate the goal poster. Where's my friends that hated the goal poster idea? Okay. Okay. Remember that goal poster I made? I hung it on the wall. Didn't look for it for 7 years. I hadn't even looked at it. I was moving offices one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, everything on that poster happened. I had won Entrepreneur of the Year. I met Steve Ballmer. Gates retired. That totally still counts, right? Because that guy was the CEO. I was on the cover of Inc. magazine, like all these things had happened, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. There must be something to this goal poster thing, right? But I'm still kind of skeptical, thinking it's total coincidence, right? But I don't believe in those, but kind of. So then my dad comes to me and he says, your mom and I just got called to go serve in the temple presidency in Ghana, Africa, and we're leaving. And I was like, dude, who is going to change my fire alarm batteries? This is a huge problem for me. And he said, listen, I just want you to know that I'd like you to come out to Ghana, and I'm going to seal you in the temple when you get married in Ghana. And I was like, shit, that is awesome, but I don't even have a boyfriend, so probably not going to happen. I'm running a company. I don't got time for that. I got 2 kids. 6 months later, I was in Ghana, Africa, getting sealed in the temple to my husband. So now I was like, okay, the goal poster thing, now we need to talk, because maybe there's something up with this thing, right? True story. I sat down and made another one 9 years ago after we got married. And I was like, I want to sell my company for a ton of money. I want to start my own investment firm, and I want to start a charity that actually helps empower people to become self-reliant. And I want to go visit the 7 wonders of the world. I thought there was only 7, so this is the postcard I found. Apparently there's a whole bunch of different ones, which is dumb why I call it 7, but that's what they do. So I put this one on the goal poster, and I want a plane because that's just awesome, and who doesn't want that, right? So that was 9 years ago. Okay, in the next 9 years, I want to show you what happened. I ended up going to 4 of the 7 wonders of that postcard, not because I planned it, but I had a brother living in these different places, and then BYU, we went to Brazil together, and I had an office in India, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. The next thing that happened is I sold my company for a whole bunch of money, and I was able to start Rees Capital to be able to angel invest in other people and entrepreneurs, and I was able to start a foundation to be able to help people become self-reliant through entrepreneurship, right? So, and I got my time back with my awesome little family. That's my cute daughter and son. They're super cute. And I had that time back. So now I'm like, okay, I want to build a dream house. So I made a goal poster, and it was more than just a poster. This thing was a PowerPoint presentation that was like 87 pages of pictures of my dream house, right? That was the pictures I had put. This is just some of the cool, this is just a few highlights of the rooms. It's actually a suite. This was the PowerPoint, and this is Mariah Carey's closet. Ladies, I know, right? It's like angels, hallelujah. Okay, so this is the picture I wanted to show you what got built. 2 years later, we moved into our dream house, okay? And every room is just like that. I know. You love this. So it's a little spiritual moment, men. Sorry, we need a moment of silence for that. But that all came from the poster, right? Don't believe the poster? Now it gets even better. I sat down and my husband said, okay, you've accomplished all these things. What do you? And I was like, I don't know what else to accomplish on my poster, right? And so he's like, you need to make a new poster. And then I was a little nervous about it because I'm like, whatever I stick on there in my life literally has happened. And if you don't believe me, ask her. She's on like her 4th poster, but my daughter made one. Her first one was to mock my poster. She put on there, get lost. This child has been lost her entire life. Like literally, the stories of her getting lost are unreal. So she will tell you, do not mess with the mojo of the poster. Don't do it. So I sat down, and this was at the beginning of this last year. I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make a new one, but I don't know what to put on there. So I'm going to go slow. So I sat down, I said, okay, European vacation, because we hadn't spent time in Europe before, and I'd been other places. And I was like, I want to get my education finished. I dropped out of college because I had to, and girls don't ever do that. Yours is equally as important as his, and men, don't let them do that, okay? You need them. But I was like, I told my husband, I said, well, it's always bugged me, but I don't want to go back because that's awkward. I teach now a lot of colleges, so that's what am I going to do, like sit in class and teach it? Weird. So, but he's like, just put it on the poster. Your whole life it's work. Just put it on there. So I did. I threw it up there. And I said, okay, I want to write a book, and I want my kids to both get married. That's my son and daughter, and I was like, I want to see them both married in the temple. And that's all I had on the poster so far, going into the beginning of the year, okay? So just so you know, 2 months later, I got a call that I was being given an honorary PhD. Poster not even done. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was bawling when they came to tell me. Because like I literally, when I put it on the poster, I thought, there's no way this can happen. It didn't even make sense to me, and I never thought about this being the result, right? The other thing that happened is, these are all the countries in Europe we've gone to in the last 12 months, okay? There's even our pictures to prove we were there, right? And my son got married in the temple this last year, and my daughter's still single. So she right here, this one, single and available, gentlemen, right there. And so she'll be on the poster soon, right? So my point is that when you guys look at the picture of what your life is, it's appropriate. I made it. It's BYU. But this is what you guys see. You guys see that, right? That's what I saw about myself when I was your age. You see that crayon drawing in your mind. That's the picture you have. But do not limit it, because what God intends for you is the masterpiece. And that's really true. Like, my life proves it, because I am not the girl that my parents still can't believe that I actually did anything successful in life. They're just amazed, right? But if you don't limit yourself, and I want you to go home and make a poster, okay? This is my only challenge to you guys. Make a poster. I still write a blog 5 days a week. Since 2010, I've never missed a day. And I write for Forbes and the Huffington Post now too. But I try to give advice and tips for entrepreneurs and for young people and life tips. And if my husband does something dumb, I blog about it. It's a really good way to keep him in line. So this is how you can get in touch with me. But here's what I want to challenge you to do. Go home. And it is a perfect time. I know you got finals, but then you have this like Christmas break that's like really awesomely long this year. Sweet. So I want you during the break to make a goal poster. Just find digital images, throw them onto a slide of a PowerPoint, and then take a photo of it or whatever, or a snapshot of it, and email it to me. And I will save your poster, because I have been collecting posters now for several years from people all over the world. And the stories of their lives and what have happened with their posters, I track them, and I have them update me as they accomplish stuff. And the crazy stories I could tell you if we had more time would blow your mind. So make a poster, even those who thought that it was dumb, because now you're probably kind of going, well, maybe I was wrong about the poster, but I'm just saying. So try it out. If I'm wrong, then you could be a whole chapter on the book on how I was wrong. But make the poster and send it to me. Thanks, you guys.